I don't know about the rest of you, but this might be the opportune time to colonize Jupiter. I'm just saying. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to my channel. And of course, before we do the thing, today's video is sponsored by Surfshark. Yay. So by now, most of you will know that the US election is only a few days away, and I want to discuss it because this is my channel and no one's the boss of me. I asked you guys again on Instagram what specific part of the election you wanted me to discuss, and overwhelmingly you said you want to know about my future predictions and potentially what might go down post-election, which I'm happy to do because I'm nothing if not a people pleaser. And I do want to add from the outset that these are just my opinions based on what I've been seeing, hearing, and reading, because clearly I'm not a time traveler. I also want to note that if you're here and you don't like Trump, that's okay. This is not a cult. You are, in fact, allowed to dislike politicians. Personally, I hate most of them. But you want to know what I don't hate? Keeping my internet connection safe, which is why today's video is sponsored by Surfshark. I have to admit, I didn't think I could do it, but this ad is in fact my greatest creation. Wait a minute. This is your Surfshark ad. For the VPN. Yeah? You didn't even mention any of the benefits of the actual product. What do you mean? People don't want to know about benefits, they want sex appeal. No, Sydney. They do want to know about benefits. People want to know how Surfshark will protect their private information online, how it encrypts all their data, how it doesn't keep any logs, how you can use it on as many devices as you want from the one subscription. You know, among other things. Okay. How about that, but with sex appeal? Okay, whatever. Try it your way. Surfshark VPN has so many amazing benefits, like all the things Sydney mentioned. Click the link in the description and use promo code Sydney for 83% off and 3 extra months free. It's perfect. I give up with you. So yeah. Let's discuss the election. You might want to get a beer for this one, guys, because here comes Mrs. Cranky Pants with all her negative predictions. So the first thing that really concerns me going forward in the event that Trump wins the election is the capacity and the probability of some sort of civil unrest. I imagine a lot of you have had this same thought, but I fully anticipate a full-fledged meltdown from liberals in the event that Trump actually wins. And after what we've been seeing for not only the past few years, but the past few months, I don't think it's remotely unreasonable to expect violence or riots in some capacity. I've already seen so many articles talking about the social response to the election and how many cities across the country are preparing for it. Washington, D.C. has shops boarding up in anticipation of rioting. But the thing is, and I think this is really important, in really no way, shape, or form do I see the average conservative taking to the streets if Biden happens to win the election and he wins fair and square, despite the insidiousness of Nancy Pelosi and her cronies.
I feel very confident that Joe Biden will be elected president on Tuesday, whatever the end count is, but on the election that occurs on Tuesday, he will be elected. On January 20th, he will be inaugurated president of the United States.
Very cool, Nancy. We certainly know who's not getting a visit from Santa this year. You know, because she's like kind of evil and Santa ain't about that life. People love bringing up civil war in relation to all of this, and I just don't really think that a violent right-wing reaction is based in reality. Unless, of course, it concerns and is based around actual self-preservation. Despite the fact that the media loves to say that a lot of the violence happening in the last couple months comes from white supremacist groups or right-wing groups, that also is not based in reality. So in short, on a completely social level, if Trump wins, I see leftists and liberals and radicals throwing a collective enormous temper tantrum, which will inevitably be way worse than what we saw in 2016. On the other hand, if Biden wins, I don't really see any significant social change happening besides a lot of complaining on the internet. Finally, my true calling will be realized. In the event that Trump wins the election, the thing is that we already know what a Trump presidency looks like because America's had the last 4 years of it. The only feasible or logical thing that I can potentially see changing is that Trump has nothing to lose now. He can't be re-elected, he's not running for re-election, so therefore it is possible that he will come down a lot harder on particular situations that in the past he may have treated with greater gentleness, for lack of a better term. I see him coming down harder on Antifa or other radical groups, for example, something that maybe would have hurt him prior to re-election because it's likely that the media would have spun it to make him look like a dictator. Sydney, they already did that. Okay, whatever, they'll make him look like more of a dictator because dictatorships have levels, like onions. That's not how that analogy works. But besides that, we already know what he's going to do because he's been doing it for the last 4 years. Some other notable things likely will include further border controls, cutting more red tape, more peace talks in the Middle East, and so on. In saying all of this too, in the event that Trump wins the election, I do foresee a very significant anti-Trump rhetoric that the media will continue on with in their anti-Trump rampage. Because journalism. And overall, it really wouldn't shock me to see the Democrats trying yet again to remove Trump from office, because they're now probably very aware that he will in fact be trying to fulfill more commitments to his base, and that probably terrifies them. And again, I am not talking about the dictatorship kind of stuff. Can we please stop going down this road? Now, for me personally, it's a Biden presidency that I think will be most interesting. Yeah, I think you mean a train wreck. Yeah, mostly that. Now, this is purely conjecture and purely my speculation, but I don't actually see Biden being president. And I guess that's no surprise to anyone because the guy can't actually string words into sentences.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Well, it is what it is because he is who he is.
So I think that one of two things will happen. In the event of a Biden presidency, I think there will be a power vacuum. One of my friends, Chris, actually described this as a Game of Thrones style situation, except with, like, less incest, I guess. Or maybe not.
By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh no, this is oh, you switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister.
Sydney. No. In my opinion, Biden will be president, but only by proxy. And he will either be replaced by Kamala, or in the event that she steps down, Nancy Pelosi. For those of you who don't know or who aren't American, the 25th Amendment allows a US president to be replaced by a vice president in the event of death, removal, resignation, or incapacitation. Biden, who is clearly suffering from some sort of significant cognitive decline, is not US presidential material. And I'm coming at that from a completely non-biased perspective. I am saying this as a human being. This man is not okay. So in the event of a Biden presidency, I see him acting purely as a figurehead, with the establishment and his people operating around him, but with him having very little say or no say in the actual goings on of the country. The guy just can't perform this role. He's not cognitively functional enough. It's like giving a monkey a hammer and asking it to build a house. Like, no. Now, in the event that Biden steps down, which I think he probably will, then we will end up with a Kamala Harris presidency, which I think would look like something akin to a less tyrannical Hillary Clinton presidency. Although Kamala is very far left. Largely because women shouldn't be running countries. I'm kidding, obviously. I could run a country. Supreme Overlord Sydney has a really nice ring to it. I really do hate to be the bearer of bad tidings here, but yeah, no one wants that. Why not? It's not like I'm sending you to a re-education camp. On a serious note, either way, whether or not it's Biden or Kamala who has power, I think they'll largely do the same things. In the short term, I believe they will institute mask mandates, impose harsher lockdowns, and in the long term, from day one, they've promised to raise taxes.
I promise you this. as a first order of business. Joe Biden and I are about to work to get rid of that tax cut.
And made clear that they will go after the oil and natural gas industry. I don't think it's inconceivable to see the expansion of anti-gun legislation, restrictions on the First Amendment in order to protect special interest groups, the reintroduction of critical race theory, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, creating new Green Deal style legislation, and I really believe that the UN will take a more active role in American politics, just to name a few examples. I also see significant issues here with law and order, perhaps even defunding the police or in some capacity messing with the police, Supreme Court stacking.
Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question because the question is radical left. Will you shut up?
And I think really importantly, making racial relations worse, maybe even introducing some sort of reparations for Black Americans. Really driving a greater wedge between citizens and creating victim groups that will receive more special considerations. I think it's also worth noting that the Democrats might sell out America to China given Biden's current relationship with the country. The bottom line is that in the event of a Biden win, especially if the Democrats control the Senate, I see a massive attack on the Constitution, but also the passing of legislation that aims to restrict and regulate this country further. In saying that, conservatives do take a minute to get angry, so it's also not inconceivable to me that there will be a huge backlash, especially when it comes to the 2022 midterm elections. Another thing that I want to make really clear is that a Biden presidency would look appalling on the world stage. As much as people want to go after Trump for his delivery and his tweeting and say that he is not a fair or good representation of Americans, Biden would be so much worse. Here's why. During the presidential debates, some people argued that Trump was too mean to Biden. And I sat there thinking, are you people on drugs? This is a controlled environment with a moderator. And you're pitying a man who might be the 46th president of the United States because the current president isn't being nice enough? What? If he can't handle a controlled environment, how on earth is he supposed to perform and do well and be successful on the world stage, especially in negotiations or during trade agreements or during any sort of conflict resolution with leaders who aren't coming in to play nice? I don't get it. The same thing goes for Kamala, and some of you might think this is sexist, but this is not a woman that people are going to automatically respect. The world leaders that she will be coming into contact with do not care about the fact that she's a woman or her skin color or her victimhood status or her oppression points. They care about getting things done. And regrettably for the US, these are two people who will be very easily steamrolled. Politics isn't nice, and expecting Trump to go easy on someone because that person is in serious cognitive decline is basically a great indicator of why that certain someone shouldn't be in a position of power in the first place. Some of you might hate Trump, but at least the guy can string words into sentences. Which brings me to the fact that you have two camps of voters in this election. People who are voting for Trump and people who are voting against Trump. Really, from my observations, it seems like very few people actually support Biden. They just know that they don't like Trump and therefore they'll vote for Biden as a result. The Democrats have become more and more radical, which doesn't at all reflect the average citizen in the United States. And Bernie and the Gulag Gang have said a Biden presidency is only the start of a new radical regime. And if I'm being honest, I completely believe them.
Well, we understand that electing Biden is not the end all, it is the beginning.
Not to sound overly dramatic or scary, but the results of this election will actually have repercussions the world over. I mean, Trump has made it very clear that he wants to strengthen the military and pull America out of these endless wars. And if I'm being honest, I don't think that the Democrats share that same agenda. Because even as conspiratorial as this sounds, a lot of people in DC are all about making money, including the politicians. And war is just hugely profitable. In the immediate future, I am concerned about the rioting and the looting and the violence and the civil unrest. Even from here in Texas, it still concerns me. And I know a lot of conservatives are like really positive about all of this, but I am not. I am not positive about any of this, because Mrs. Cranky Pants is also Mrs. Negative Pants. In the end too, I have left out obviously a ton of information about this because I want this to be palatable and not crush you guys with information, but I will try to include as many links as I can in the description so that you can go and read about these things in your own time and be bored in your own time. So in summary, we already know what a Trump presidency will look like. We'll probably get much of the same thing now that he is done with the re-election thing and he has nothing to lose. I expect that he will actually start fulfilling more and more and more commitments to his base. And as far as a Biden presidency goes, I think it will be a disaster that will be felt worldwide. And obviously, in the event that Trump wins the election, I do foresee civil unrest in whatever capacity that comes in, whatever that looks like. And I think it will be very telling how America deals with that. Now, with all of that being said, before I open the floor to you, this is just a reminder that you can download Surfshark VPN using the link in the description. When you do, you'll receive 83% off and 3 extra months free. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? What do you make of this topic? What do you make of the election? What do you think is going to happen? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.